So for today's video, let's do something really obscure and random that's really not going to help me with the algorithm and everything. So let's do a review of this guy. This is Larfleeze, and he is the sole orange lantern. In the DC universe, you might know that there's, green lanterns and there's yellow lanterns, and you might also know that there are red lanterns, but there's also purple, white, blue, and black. And aside from those, there's an orange lantern. And the orange is actually the most powerful of them all, believe it or not. And there's only one member, and that is Larfleeze. He is the sole Orange Lantern member, because what happens is when he defeats an enemy, he can absorb them, and then he can summon them as constructs through his ring. I might be wording this a bit wrong, but yeah, it's a very interesting idea. And this is all because the emotion of orange is greed/avarice, and for obvious reasons, it really wouldn't make sense if there were a bunch of orange lanterns, because greed and all. So Larfleeze is the only actual core member, which I find very amusing. So this is the DC Direct Blackest Night Larfleeze figure. This is one of only 2 Larfleeze figures ever made in this scale. I think there was a 3 3/4 inches figure as well, but we don't care about those. And it's actually pretty nice looking. Larfleeze hasn't really had much exposure outside of the comics. He was in one episode of the CG Green Lantern show, which was actually pretty good, but I think that's pretty much it. So this is Larfleeze. Larfleeze is a bit of a weird character to deem accurate or not, because he looks pretty much different in every comic he's in. Sometimes he looks like a horse, and sometimes he looks like a cat lion thing. This figure is definitely looking more towards the horsey way, which I much prefer. I don't really like it when it looks like feline. And proportion-wise, he is also a bit weird, because I don't think I've ever read a comic where Larfleeze has these really long arms. As for customizers, it's pretty easy to customize this guy, because you would just remove, I think 3 sections here, and then you can just plug his hands in, and you would have a sort of normal looking arm length. But it's a nice looking figure. I'm a big fan of this metallic orange that he's painted in, and I really like how DC Direct sculpted in the emblems and everything. So the other figure that's made of Larfleeze is the DC Universe Classics figure, and here it is, and it just looks really sad and pathetic, to be honest. This figure, as you can see, these head sculpts look nothing like each other, and you can't really fault either of them, because this sorta looks like one iteration of Larfleeze, and this sorta looks like another. I think a mix of the two would be the ideal one, but in the end I prefer this guy. This guy is a bit modified, because he was a really weird looking, he was one of those collector club releases, so he wasn't a mainstream release. And didn't even have any swivels in the biceps, which I thought was really weird, considering that means he can't even clutch anything. So this was a really early swivel job I made. Look, it looks terrible. So yeah, today I could probably have done a decent job, but yeah, this figure's garbage. So let's keep looking at this guy. So as for accessories, he comes with his power battery here. And I forgot actually why he's got a power battery, because the orange lantern ring doesn't actually need to recharge. And he also comes with his little sidekick, Glomulus. So Glomulus is one of those summoned creatures I mentioned earlier, but Glommy here is just a bit more prominent than the other one, he keeps appearing in comics. So I pretty much designate him as Larfleeze's sidekick. And this is a nice looking little figure. He's got some articulation in his arms, he can swivel them inwards and outwards. Can you do anything on the legs? No, but he's cast in this translucent plastic, and he just looks really, really cool. As for Larfleeze's articulation, he has a swivel here, and he's actually got a ball here as well, a ball jointed neck. I wish he could look up, but this is pretty much it. He has a little bit of tilt, but not too much. I would have preferred him with a closed mouth, actually. I might close up his mouth, and I might repaint his eyes too. I don't really like that he has white eyes. I wish they were glowing orange. And then he's got shoulder joints here, like so. I wish they could go straight out, and then he's got this really poor bicep hinge here, that's just pathetic. At least 90, come on guys. And then he's also got a swivel here. And I think this is so he can clutch the power battery, as he tends to do in some artwork. But the ironic part is that because his arms are so trash in articulation, he can barely even hold it. So yeah, aside from that, he's got T-jointed hips, he's got hinged knees, and he's got nothing in the feet. So this is a pretty standard DC Direct figure, and the articulation really wasn't the best. It wasn't really until they became like DC Collectibles, like really late DC Direct, that they stepped up. But I might customize this guy a little bit. Like I said, I might remove a few of these sections. I might close up his mouth, give him like a light repaint, because I think he's a little bit too dark. And yeah, but otherwise, I haven't seen anyone else make a video about Larfleeze, so figured I would show him off. On a side note, I actually voiced Larfleeze in a motion comic once, and the guy who made the comic sent it to Jeff Johns on Twitter, and he actually watched it and gave it a shout out. That was pretty sweet. So yeah, Larfleeze.
I'm not used to people giving me what I want. Wait, I want more! Oh. Touching my stuff over there! Stop touching my stuff!